the false conviction rate is about 5%, but that may not even be the true number because we don't find out. A lot of times we never find out.
Yeah. But, you know, let those thoughts riot in the comments below, and we'll be talking about this more.
And if you want to see us read through that case, because I'm intrigued, I want to read through that case you were talking about on the True Crime Talk Show. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll bring this to the True Crime Talk Show that you're going to see right after this.
Okay, so we will read through it. I want to read it. There we are.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hang on one second here. All right. Got to catch my breath. Welcome to the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by thoughtriotpodcast. My name's Brendan. Welcome to the show.
And I'm Malia. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. We just got done watching a DNA video talking specifically and referencing the insane situation that is going on in Colorado right now with Missy Yvonne Woods. I think I got that right. She is and has been the star DNA scientist and expert for 29 years, essentially 30 years, okay, working on trials like Kobe's assault situation, multiple serial enders, a whole bunch of cases. And then you know what came to light about 6 months ago? She's been manipulating data.
And like she's done thousands of cases. I am excited. It's just welcome to the show is supposed to be my line, but it ends up being said like 5 times because Brendan says welcome to the show in like 5 different ways.
Yeah.
And then also says welcome to the show.
I do have something that I want to cover real quick though.
Your haircut? Because my co-host is back, you guys. Charles Manson left. Thank God.
You know. It is what it is.
Couldn't stand that guy.
But so I just want to be clear with everybody, because this is the People's Podcast and we've always made a commitment to be transparent with everybody. So recently, I don't know what it is. We had a whole bunch of floods of threatening messages come through on YouTube and through our emails and stuff like that. And just to be completely transparent, look, no matter what somebody says out there, you can word a threat any way you want. I'm just not going to engage with that. So if you're one of those people and you're watching, one, I don't ever reply condescending. I am just a nice person, no matter how mean somebody is. 2, if we get threatening messages, you guys, they get flagged in YouTube, pictures taken and submitted to the DoD, Department of Defense, FBI's online criminal submissions, and that is just how we cover them. So you know, that doesn't get anywhere. That's not scientific. That's not objective. That doesn't help expand knowledge. So you know, that is the route that we handle those situations. So yeah, anyways, and it is what it is. But just want to be clear for our route of management with that, you know. But yeah, make sure you join all of our social media. It is /ThoughtRiot podcast. You can find us on every podcast platform because yes, this is a podcast, a full-fledged and total podcast going live half the time on the True Crime Talk Show and doing pre-recorded content the other half of the time for all the podcast platforms. And we're growing. Things are going really good. All because of you guys. You guys have been awesome, incredible. And you know, the growth, we're growing. Like, I think our average is like 300 and something new subs a day, which is absolutely incredible. And all because of you guys. So just keep doing what you're doing, you guys. And we appreciate all of you.
Yes, we do.
And let's get into it. So what do you think about that video?
Well,
there's literally so much
to be completely honest, you guys, after the TED Talk that I talked about many months ago now, where a DNA expert talked about the subjectivity in reading DNA matches, I was like reading the samples, trying to match them up, see if they match or not. That subjectivity scared the crap out of me and it opened my eyes to the fact that it's not black and white. Like, they're not doing blind testing.
Me too.
The people reading these tests are involved in the investigation and know things about the investigation, and they shouldn't, in my opinion. They should know nothing. They should be focusing on the science alone, not anything else. The investigators shouldn't be even looking at this. They should be taking their word for it, and if they think there's something funky, get double and triple, you know what I mean? Like, get tons of different opinions then.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you do it in science anyway. Like, you check and you double check.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You're going to have to get a second one for me now because it being there, I just want to play with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a brain.
It is a brain. So, you guys, because I have ADHD, in order for me to think like linearly and properly and be able to pay attention to what's going on while I'm sitting still, I've got to be able to have something in my hands. And the stress balls, you know, are awesome. That's what I prefer. But I came across this human brain, which is part of the Thought Riot podcast logo. We have a human brain in the light bulb. And I was like, oh, that's it. I need that one. That is the one. So, you know, I can strike a pose, do what I got to do. And it helps me keep my brain going. So it is cool. It's super cool. Yeah, or the beard comb. The beard comb was a good one for a while, but I haven't had a beard in a long time. But no, I agree with you. Getting back into what we were talking about, I agree with you 100%. I think that the only way to do it is, when I was watching this, even though we record it, like, I really like our layout of doing a premiered video and then going into a live, because when you're able to watch yourself and watch yourself talk about and explore your own opinions in a live setting, it allows you to then think and revisit those same opinions. And I feel like it allows you to, like, you know, push those opinions down the think tank tunnel even further than you would normally. So when I'm watching this, I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, there are so many different ways that our justice system could improve on the expert scientific or DNA testing. Everything from only allowing DNA experts that aren't associated with law enforcement. I mean, the fact that they have their own law enforcement testing experts, in my opinion, that's a flaw right there. The fact that they could do completely blind testing, that could be a major fix. The fact that if you're gonna bring in a science-based evidence, then what they should be doing is hiring two people, one for the defense and one for the prosecution, and that way there is an unbiased double opinion. You should never, ever, ever lean on one. That is not how science works. Science, at a bare minimum, is in factors of threes.
Yeah. So what I didn't really finish what I was saying because of the brain, but yeah, my mind was already really open to the subjectivity of it all. And I hadn't heard of a situation like this yet. Not yet had I heard of this kind of thing. And now this being a thing, it further solidifies that for me. Like, this is too subjective of a process. And that makes it immediately not scientific, not trustworthy in a court of law, in my opinion. It is no longer trustworthy in a court of law for me. DNA means nothing to me now. No DNA. And I even mean blood. No DNA matters to me anymore until there's blind testing.
Until we refine the process. I want blind testing too. I do too.
That's it.
I do too. I do too. But is blind testing going to help when that blind testing law enforcement science expert still has connections to law enforcement? Are we really expecting them to blind trust without being given a nudge by law enforcement?
What do you mean? Like,
so I think that there are multiple problems in the system that need to be fixed for it to truly
they can't be owned by the police system?
Yeah, because, and here's my concern, and I want to be careful saying this because I am not trying to put all science in a box. I am sure that there are law enforcement connected scientists out there that are absolutely 100% honest and believe in science in a way that they are completely unwilling to allow suggestions from prosecutors or investigators or anything like that, right? But my concern in that situation is that even though it's blind testing, they are doing the test blindly. They are still part of the judicial system. They are still hired by the law enforcement agency. They are still working directly with the prosecutor. They need to be detached from that. There has to be a third party. Like, I don't understand why we allow this science to be done by the investigators. It doesn't feel okay. Either that, or there needs to be a state-funded massive lab that is not connected to any of the agencies, but does the testing for all of them. If we're going to do it that way.
Idaho State Police, like the Idaho State Lab, is that, well, I don't know.
No, that's associated with ISP.
Right. I think it is the same entity. It is. Yeah.
Yes, it is literally that law enforcement office. That's what I'm saying. It's problematic.
Yeah, it is kind of problematic.
That's like, okay, break it down to like a subjective example. That's like your best friend, right? Or a person that helps control your pay comes to you and says, hey, I have this issue going on, and it's this guy right here that's causing all the problems. And, you know, HR is going to call you in and ask you what guy it is, even though I know you didn't see anything. I know that you weren't a part of it. In fact, I know you weren't there that day. I'm telling you, it's this guy here. That puts you in between a rock and a hard place. That is so unfair. That is the opposite of everything science is. And you're leaning into the human aspects of a relationship connection that it's flawed. It's messed up. It's messed up. And the reason why we bring this up in connection with the Idaho4 case, in connection with the Bryan Kohberger case, not because it's really close in that part of the northwestern part of the states, but it's a great example of a scientist, a well-renowned and known scientist, literally the leader in that state, the go-to person that state leaned into to get things done, we find has been giving flawed results. Now, there was this comment in that video that said, you know, to our understanding, nobody has been falsely accused. How can you give flawed results and not be falsely accused? Bro, come on. Not possible. Nice statement. I get it. You know, you got to go the political route. I hear you. But not possible.
Yeah, there has to be somebody in there who's innocent.
2,000 plus.
Yeah.
2,000 plus cases they are now looking into because of Missy Yvonne Woods has been giving flawed, manipulated results for 29 years. We're talking tens of millions of dollars, years of additional work, thousands of retrials. How many false convictions?
Man.
And I can't help but think about when I was watching that, you know who else is like the star DNA go-to? Nationally, on a national level? Othram.
Yep.
Othram is like the star. They have been making connections that nobody else has been able to make.
So that was my thing. So here's the thing.
Accountability, oversight.
Missy,
come on.
Right. And they don't have much oversight.
No.
Because they're a private company. So what's interesting to me is that Missy was their go-to, okay? She was the one making it happen because she was falsifying things.
Correct.
That's the only reason she was that person.
Correct.
Guaranteed that is the only reason she was that phenomenal go-to. She'll get it done for you. She'll get you the result you need, not the accurate one, the one you need. That's why she was who she is. So yeah, Othram being that on a national level starts to make you question it. Like,
agree.
Are they doing the same thing?
Yeah. How are they getting these success rates that are literally unheard of in this area of science when it comes to criminal science?
Right. There's something incredible there because they're able to identify victims who remains from 50 years ago. They can identify people through genealogy.
Okay.
Now, it is considered somewhat guesswork.
No, not
but
somewhat. Our own military, which we talked about, says no, it's not allowed in our courts. It is pseudoscience until further review and more testing.
I think it's interesting when then they can go find that person that maybe that person's family member and then test them and then check to see. Like it's interesting.
The IgG,
I just don't know if it
feel more reliable about that IgG connections and making that than touch DNA. Touch DNA is the problem here, not the IgG. The IgG
it can be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, but the IgG can be very easily verified, right? You have to show the route of travel through the line of family members to get from point A to point B. Got it. Very easy. You know, anybody could probably verify that work. But with touch DNA, there are so many missing pieces, and almost every single touch DNA sample is degraded to a certain level. It's not reliable when you're having to fill all those gaps.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
Well, the gaps that concern me is that they're not just going off DNA anymore. It's algorithm. You know, like they're
Yeah.
guessing, like, oh, because
I
this
would
person
trust the
has
algorithm
this
more.
person has this gene, that means they have this percentage likelihoodness of having this gene and
Right.
filling in those gaps.
Right.
That makes me nervous.
Yeah. To be honest, I would be more willing to accept an algorithm, to accept a code, to accept software that did the testing automatically than a human tester, scientist experiment. In the way that it's currently being done,
Well,
done.
humans don't do that part of it.
I mean,
It's
yes,
all
they
done
do.
by computers.
No. The humans are the ones that are drawing the connections and transferring the solutions and doing all that, and then it's put in and then it's read. But the problems when doing that testing is if it's exposed to the air for a single second, that single second makes that DNA so much more likely that it could be cross-contaminated. And the fact that they're already every single piece of touch DNA is having to be rebuilt in a process that, like, let's say this is, man, when I got this brain, there was a DNA. I should have got that. Let's say there's a DNA sample, a touch DNA sample, okay? And they take it, and every sample is degraded a little bit. Then they put it in their little tube here. They know they're not going to be able to get a read from it. So then they take this other DNA, human DNA, they add it to it with a binding agent. It's some kind of metal composition agent that causes the original sample to pull from and use the like baseline, like a structure. Like, let's say it's almost like the secondary sample that has the metallic connection in it is like the framework of a house, and then the original sample is the exterior part or the inside walls or whatever. So it uses that to then replace and rebuild itself, where they can then get a more reliable test.
Okay.
Every time you're changing that DNA sample, every single time, it takes multiple attempts to do this effectively, where you're able to get a read. Every single time is a risk of cross-contamination and problem results. That's how much humans are involved. It's a lot. It is a lot.
Okay.
I wish it was 100% computer based. I wish.
But it's not.
It is not. Nope, it is not.
That's a lot more room for error then. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so concerning. So concerning. And here's another interesting thing too, right? And like, I know Missy Yvonne Woods was a big deal. That's the DNA, the scientist we're talking about in Colorado, was a big deal in Colorado. But the big deal on a national level when it comes to DNA testing in the U.S. court system is Becca Barlow, okay? Becca Barlow has seen the sample. She has seen the Bryan Kohberger sample. And her response, okay, now that I want to be objective here. Becca Barlow is a defense expert. So
she's a lawyer.
Yeah, but we got to be objective. It was a defense expert. So there is, because of how experts work in our judicial system, there is reason for her to come in already knowing she's going to side with the defense, right? But
she specializes in defense work when it comes to DNA.
She does. And she is world renowned, one of the best in her field, period. So why I said that at first is because I don't think that she's the type of person that would lie or fabricate or whatever, because her work is so important to her, trying to make sure that DNA is used objectively and fair and honest and transparent. But she saw the Bryan Kohberger sample, and her response was, it is partial and ambiguous.
Yeah, she said in a case like this, where the sample is partial and ambiguous, it warrants more testing. And she was specifically Yeah, she was also specifically talking about the other 3 unidentified male DNAs too. She was talking about those
separately,
2
not the partial and ambiguous, though.
no, but she did bring those up and said, you know, like, this sample's partial and ambiguous. You need to be looking at those other samples too and figuring out who those are.
Of course. And
Yeah.
you know what's interesting? I swear, we're like all part of a single consciousness or something, because we hadn't talked about DNA for a long time, and then we recorded this DNA video last Friday, right? So that's what, 6 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever. And I just saw a whole bunch of DNA videos come out today from like Court TV and whatever, specifically talking about the 3 other samples.
Weird.
It is weird, because I agree with you. I think that whole dang house should have been swabbed, you guys. Look, in a situation where the state comes out and says, here, you guys, you need an extra $1 million? I got you. Here's an extra $1 million to make sure that this investigation gets done, and it gets done right. Hey, university, you need $1 million too? Cool, I got you. Make sure this never happens again. That is giving them the ability to then do any amount of DNA testing they needed in that house. Why? Why is there only one test?
Right.
Why is there only one test?
Well,
we're told like those 3 were tested, but
yeah, they're all run through CODIS and they didn't get a match, and they just left it at that. That makes no sense.
It doesn't. I don't understand.
Because you know that whatever those samples came from, they were from places that were important. They did not just take DNA samples from any random place. Like, that is very apparent that they were not going around just swabbing everything, or else we'd have a ton of different DNAs.
Yeah,
so
they could have just swabbed the 2 rooms, obviously.
They could have just swabbed very important places, which is what I'm assuming they did, is swab the most important places.
Gosh,
whatever they thought were the most important. So the fact that there's 3 additional unidentified male DNAs and we don't know who those belong to, seriously, that's a big deal to me. Like, we're talking about we're talking about this crime being nearly impossible for this defendant to have completed without taking BLOOD into his car, into his home, and literally leaving a trail behind him. Like, the way this was carried out, it just doesn't make a ton of sense unless he had help. So why are we not testing the other DNA?
Yeah, I don't understand it either. And I think it's
and what would the cops have against finding a co-defendant?
Look, I think it's going to be such a big deal. Okay, like I've said from the beginning, you guys, and understand this. Okay, if you're trying to put us in a box of Kohberger being innocent, shame on you. Watch some more of our content, because I'm telling you, I do not think Bryan Kohberger is innocent, but I do not think Bryan Kohberger is guilty. I have absolutely no idea, because I don't have the story. I don't know enough information, okay? The one thing I know is that the investigation does not feel strong. The investigation feels very problematic in this situation. So yes, when I'm looking at this and I'm seeing areas where I would expect investigators to dig deeper, I would expect investigators to say, hey, look, we gathered 15 DNA samples from this house. We talked to every single person. We've cleared them all one by one. The one DNA sample that their alibi doesn't line up is Bryan Kohberger, which just so happens to be the DNA sample that was found on the sheath of a potential murder weapon. And this is what we don't have. It is not presented like this. It is not talked about in this manner. We're told that, oh, you know, those 3 DNA samples, we did check them, we just didn't get any hits on them. Okay, so why did you pursue this DNA sample? If you had any background knowledge of how easily touch DNA is, and for anyone watching that watches Nancy Grace, there was a comment made recently that was a very big mistake. What was found on that knife sheath was not BLOD. It was not. It was skin cells from touch DNA and trace DNA. Like, you could literally blow
and it may
get
not
cells
say
on it.
It may not say that in the PCA, but we know that
On the
for a
second
fact.
one, it does
Okay.
talk about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we know that also from a fact from many other filings filed in this case talking about the DNA, like Bicca Barlow's declaration. And there's some other documents out there that talk about it, but we know it's touch DNA.
Absolutely 100% know that it's touch DNA. And that would be really interesting that they claim that it's BLOD, but they only found it like inside the button. That's just, come on. Like, I feel like that proves itself. How it, in order for it to be BLOD, he would have had to have been cut and then put his finger inside the button and then close it, but then it's nowhere else on it. You know what I mean?
Well, and he forgot it.
Yeah, come on. So if it was BLOD, I would feel so much more sure that it's likely to be him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's not. And we have covered this over and over and over again. And I might pull up one of these videos, but we've covered the tests on touch DNA and trace DNA. We've talked about so there are certain lawyers that write the legal precedents in the Department of Defense and military court systems and JAG and things like that within our military courts. And they made multiple statements about trace and touch DNA. And their statements are, it is a pseudoscience. It cannot be verified, and it is not allowed in the Department of Defense military systems, or the court systems within the military,
court martial,
until further testing and more advancement. So why is it okay to have it in and be used against citizens? Like, I don't understand that.
Different court system.
I hear you, but in my opinion, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel fair, right? And I'm saying that understanding Bryan Kohberger could be guilty. The expectation here would be that the investigators did a thorough, controlled, and experienced type job around investigating that case and crime. And if they didn't, shame on them. You know,
it's an amazing feat, you know, that they really got Bryan Kohberger's, allegedly got his DNA against all odds, you guys. I mean, he just happened to leave that knife sheath behind and leave literally nothing else behind. Not a single thing but that knife sheath. Nothing. That is the only thing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it sat there for 8 hours and then an additional 4 hours and then probably a little bit longer before it got to where it needed to go to get swabbed. And brass kills DNA.
Right, we think.
So no, it absolutely does. That test was flawed, but it does have that effect. We just don't know the rate.
Yeah, all metals do.
I
hear
all
you.
metals do, and brass is one of the worst. Copper and brass.
I just worry making a claim like that when we don't have any evidence to back it up. So yes, I do think you're right. We just don't have the correct experiment to back up that statement, and I just want to be clear with people.
Yeah, we don't, but it's not something that's unknown in forensics. There needs to be more studies found and talked about.
It talks about it in there because one thing that you tend to get trace DNA and touch DNA on are bullet casings. Okay, you pop that bullet in there and you're touching it most times, right? A lot of people forget the bullets, like that is. So many people have been caught because of the bullet casings. They don't put a bag around their gun to catch them, and they don't do it gloved. So it's talked about a lot in that regard. But I just want to be clear that when we're making a statement, and we know we're going to be wrong sometimes, right? I'm not here to guarantee truth, 100% facts. But if we don't have an evidence to back up something we're saying, then I just want to be able to share that.
Sure. Yeah,
know?
for sure.
But
But
anyways,
I'm just saying, it's like against all odds, they got this sample, and it's just interesting. Like, how many things stack against the sample is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I
things
agree.
stacking against it.
And there is. So let's go down tin hat land, right? And I was gonna put the tin hat emote. Throw that tin hat emote up, guys. So one of the leading theories out there in the community, and I'm not saying I believe this, you guys.
Oh, we need another tin hat emote.
I believe this, but one of the questions and concerns is that knife sheath was placed there by a law enforcement member or somebody else other than Bryan Kohberger. Okay. When we're looking at DNA testing, I think that is, I do not believe that would be the way that Bryan Kohberger's DNA got attached to this case. Let me say it like that. I do not believe that there would be an intentional sample on a sheath that was brought to the crime scene 4 hours after being found and placed in the scene. I do not think that is a successful way to get that in there. I think more likely what we would see happen is the DNA sample be inserted into a test mid-test, okay? So they found a sheath. They took that sheath to be tested. They have a suspect. They are catching a ton of national heat around not having a suspect after a month, and they need a suspect. So one of the suspects that could fit becomes that testing sample. And by the way, we only had enough for one test, so you can't repeat it. Sorry.
So
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think more than likely, if there is some kind of weirdness going on in the case, which has happened in the past, that's where it would come from. Personally.
Yeah, I agree. And that's another thing that stacks against the sample is the fact that it wasn't repeatable. It was too small of a sample.
Yeah.
Well, somebody recently, it was another creator, Character Analysis, which I highly respect and appreciate, brought up the fact that she asked people to basically tell her if to talk about the Bryan being framed theory.
Sure.
Like, if Bryan Kohberger is framed, then why? How? Walk me through it. Like, how did they identify him? Why him? So when I think about it, I don't necessarily see it as an intentional framing.
No.
The way I see it
madness.
is Bryan Kohberger just happened to be driving that night. Legitimately. And he's the only odd car in the area that's out driving that night that they know of, and that's literally it.
I agree with you.
That's it. If you're going to frame somebody on purpose, or you get tunnel vision, there has to be bits of real evidence there to make it legitimate. Like, he was legitimately driving that night, and they legitimately have footage of him driving through Moscow.
No, I agree with you 100%. And that's another thing that I try and lean on with people when we're talking about the possibility of there being some kind of corruption, some kind of setup, is I don't think that Bryan Kohberger was picked, you guys. I don't either think he was picked. I think it is a wrong place, wrong time. If
they would have put victim,
that is possible,
they would have taken victim BLOOD and put it in his apartment.
Absolutely.
Hair.
Absolutely.
They would have put it in his car. Like, if this was a real framing, okay, we would have the murder weapon we would have way more than this. I totally
Absolutely.
believe that.
I don't think the
So-
DNA was confirmed in backing the story until he was already driving to Pennsylvania. If this is a possibility, okay? If this is a possibility.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I don't think he was chosen and framed. I never have wanted to push that narrative or idea. I mean, again, we don't try to push any narrative or idea. All we do is ask questions.
You should leave with more questions.
Yeah.
than you
Right. We're
came.
not here to answer
Yeah.
everybody's questions. We're here to ask more and
Yeah.
make you think. You know, we've never believed he was innocent or guilty. We just don't know. Like, it's as simple as that. But yeah, I've never thought that personally, that he was picked and framed. If anything, I've saw an issue with the investigation and possible tunnel vision.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I was going to reference it, but I see so many people saying my haircut looks good. I appreciate you guys pointing it out. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. But yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that he fell into their lap.
Yeah. Essentially, yes.
And I think they had a whole bunch of puzzle pieces that didn't fit, and they just started forcing puzzle pieces together. I really do. I really do. I don't think they had a suspect. We go back and forth between this idea that, you know, they had Bryan Kohberger
Like
on November
early
29th. Look,
Yeah.
I think Bryan Kohberger could have been on a list of suspects that early, a list of a whole bunch of suspects, meaning they had his name, but he was not the key suspect. He was not the focal point of the investigation, I think, until they were able to make sure. Look, you guys, I'm not saying I believe this. Again, my goal is not to give you my opinion, okay? We didn't have DNA confirmation. I'm just going to create tin hat, okay? Tin hat. There's no evidence of this. Why did they wait till Bryan Kohberger was gone to enter his apartment? That's a very big question, okay? And I think police should ask this question, okay? Why didn't they pull Bryan Kohberger in and start having conversations with him early? Like every law enforcement does in any investigation ever, they pull everybody in and ask you a slew of questions, okay? They did not do that.
Nope.
100% confirmed did not do that.
They didn't, which is weird.
It is weird. They waited until he left to then start investigating him aggressively from the Washington, Idaho area, okay? So, did they have DNA that was not it was too degraded to be able to do any tests on it, but they believe that it's Bryan Kohberger's, okay? They believe that it's Bryan Kohberger's. So they go in his apartment, skin cells, okay? That's what you would expect to see, is skin cells in an apartment, right? On a pillow, in a bed, whatever.
Well, they claim there was literally spots of BLOD, so
right.
But it's dry.
Yep. But they could have got a sample there while he's gone, made the connection. Once they got to Pennsylvania, grabbed his dad's DNA, and then bam. You know?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It had to come from somewhere, okay? I think if it is a real thing, I think if this is a real possibility, that is why. Because those decisions don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
the decisions don't make sense.
So that
really
means there's
weird.
another reason for them.
Yeah.
Like, decisions aren't made on a fly.
Right.
They are not.
Especially in an investigation at this, like, to this magnitude. the decisions are weird. They
I
don't make
agree.
sense. Like, why let him drive across the country? Why not pull him in and interrogate him?
They didn't get his
Like-
DNA in the car. They didn't get his DNA when they pulled him over. I don't believe anything remotely close to that, okay? I think that scientists that are hired by law enforcement like ISP or Moscow Police Department are biased already, right? You're asking them to bite the hand that feeds. Literally, you are asking these scientists to bite the hand that feeds. That is not fair and not okay. So, in a situation where they say, hey, we need your help, okay? Do these law enforcement officers, do you think that they have a badge that gives them access to that testing site? Do you think they can go back there? I wonder.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but I would be curious to know.
You
I
mean
think
like?
it's an interesting question.
Well, I also want to know, why was there a warrant for the Coeur d'Alene forensics lab? That's freaking weird.
Could the DNA have been added during that warrant? Hello.
I don't know. It's weird though. It's weird though.
Could it have been added during that warrant? Wasn't that warrant November 29th?
It's a weird day.
Or December
I don't remember.
something?
I don't remember the day. I need to look
It's
it
okay.
up.
We can pull it up later. We can continue talking about this topic. There's so much here.
Yeah.
But listen, you guys, if I think any of those things are realistic, I really do. Unfortunately, I think they are a real possibility. I don't believe them 100%. They are not 100%, you know, they are not 100% guaranteed for sure that's what's going on. I don't know for
It's your
sure.
speculations from what we see on the outside, of course. But yeah, there's just some really weird, out of the norm choices in this case that send up red flags for us. And I know they do for a lot of you out there, because we hear you guys talking about them constantly, all the time. Like this case, the choices made by the investigators, it's bewildering. Like the gag order, it's still bewildering. I don't understand why keep this under lock and key this tight for this long. Like, and they've been told, they know that it's causing all this speculation and all of this distrust in the system. They know. They choose to continue to be secretive in this way. So I mean, it just makes me wonder.
Yeah, it makes me wonder too. It makes
Like,
me
what is
too.
worth it to hide all of this?
I mean, I think the biggest issue is the fact that you're asking these scientists to bite the hand that feeds. You know, I should have said that right in the beginning. I think that's probably the best statement to make that the most people will relate with, is that you're asking these scientists to give these investigators, these prosecutors, the opposite of what they're asking for in some cases, right? Depending on where they're at in the investigation. Maybe they think it's this person, but they don't have enough evidence to get an actual arrest warrant. So then they go to get further testing, like the DNA. Okay, they think it's Bryan Kohberger because they happen to see him on camera or whatever, and they're like, absolutely, this is our guy. I'm telling you, you guys, this is him. It is the only car that's over here. Yeah, maybe it's the only car because the suspects didn't drive a car, whatever. So we need enough evidence to get this guy. Like, understand the amount of pressure that these guys were under during that time. The entire world was giving them heat.
Yep,
The entire world.
they were.
I don't know. I got to go to the bathroom, set my brain down.
Oh, yay. I get to play with the brain. It feels really cool. It's like, if you guys have ever played with stress balls like this, little squishies, it's like a really, like, the outside of it's really thick. It's not like a really thin one. And it's got like the really thick, like, putty in it, or slime. Putty or slime, something like that. Fluffy and thick. It's really cool. Feels very interesting. I wanted to find that date again on that search warrant, because that still bewilders me, and I don't know why. Why do I like the word bewildered tonight? I'm not sure. But it's strange. It's really weird. I can't for the life of me think of a single reason they would be requesting a search warrant from Coeur d'Alene Forensic Lab. Like, have any of you guys ever heard that Coeur d'Alene helped at all in the investigation? Like any of their law enforcement or anything like that? Or that ISP uses Coeur d'Alene's forensic lab? That wouldn't make sense considering how many labs they have around the state, and their labs are probably better, more well equipped. I mean, you know, they did win an award. All right, so search warrant. December 1st. So not November 29th. It was requested December 1st, 2022. Really, really interesting. Close enough to November 29th that, I mean, it's sketchy. I wonder, did it have anything to do with the sheath? Did it have anything to do with the DNA? It doesn't say. It's a wait, so including any exhibits, including the affidavit for search warrant, including any exhibit search warrant. So this is them sealing it? Yeah, that's the motion to seal. And they redacted the order of so including the inventory of items seized and order filed herein because release or disclosure would interfere with enforcement proceedings. And they redacted the list. So there are items. But does that mean like they actually sent things there for testing? I don't know. It's really weird to me though.
That's it. I am making a Thought Riot podcast stress ball. That's a good idea.
You're gonna make what?
A Thought Riot podcast stress ball.
Oh yeah, that is a good idea.
Be ready for them, you guys. Oh gosh,
should we make brain ones that are our colors half and half colored?
Oh yeah,
yeah. With a lightning bolt on them or something.
Yeah. The so our financial supporters should be purchasing our clothing press soon, you guys. So many people have asked for shirts and all kinds of stuff, and I'm just not willing to subcontract that out to a company. We're gonna keep everything in-house. So like if we get stress balls made, then we're getting them made from a company where we hold them. When we get shirts made, we are making them ourselves or hiring somebody to make them. And so that we're not like subcontracting through another company. So I apologize. It's taken so long. It's taken a long time. People have been asking for like 6 months.
I mean, it's just because we have some really good ideas and we've talked about them a few times.
You
guys have really good ideas too. I know. You
guys do. Oh yeah, stickers. Ugh, yeah. I will get on that.
We have to make them the really nice water bottle vinyl stickers though that do not come off. Like, so you could put them on like a hydro flask or a water bottle and wash it and it doesn't come off.
Yeah.
Those are so nice.
Well,
You can put them outside, like, you know, like on a pole, and they'll stay there forever.
one of the items that we have coming are alpaca hoodies. So it's like real alpaca fur.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't want to murder alpacas.
What? No, you shave an alpaca.
Oh, yeah. That was airheaded of me. Yeah, totally. You do. Like a sheep.
And the hair grows back.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're special Thought Riot podcast alpacas.
Are alpacas treated really nice, though?
The Thought Riot podcast ones are.
What, you're gonna buy alpacas that are specifically Thought Riot podcast alpacas?
Yeah. They already have the logo on them. Like on
They
them
grow.
already.
They grow the logo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, going back to our topic, make sure you guys hit that like button. I know you can't leave a comment under the actual video, but you guys leaving a comment under the video for us does so much. So please leave a comment and hit that like button on the
Jeez.
video that we just watched here. I'm going to post the link for you. Please remember to hit that like button and leave a comment under the video we just premiered, and then hit that like button on here and leave a comment after. Once it goes not live anymore, then it will allow you to. But anyway, so going back into it, I'm shocked this isn't getting more attention. The Missy Yvonne Woods. I am shocked it's not getting more attention.
I'm kind of surprised by that too.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge deal in true crime and forensics, like, period. If you have any interest in crime at all, like, this is a huge, I mean, even for people who just like are citizens of the United States, like, you should care about this.
Yeah.
This
and
is a big deal.
And look, DNA tests are only used in very important cases. You don't use DNA testing if you want to catch somebody who stole a shirt from a store.
No,
they're not going to DNA test that handle or whatever you touched. These are important cases, and there are over 2,000 right now. They have identified 2,000 plus that Missy Yvonne Woods manipulated.
Yep.
That's huge.
Yeah, I think the number on her, so that's 2,000 plus that she worked on. What she actually manipulated,
2,000 plus she manipulated.
Are you sure?
I am 100% sure. 100. It started off 652 plus. Then 2 weeks later, it is now 1,000 plus. Then 2 weeks later, it is now 2,000 plus cases that Missy Yvonne Woods has officially manipulated and or being looked into in the criminal investigation. And it is now a criminal investigation, not just double checking work. It is a criminal investigation.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big deal.
Dude, taxpayers should be mad about this.
This is her right here. 2 fingers.
Yeah, missed 2 fingers.
Look at that. That's her. Man, you guys.
What's her name again?
Missy Yvonne Woods.
Missy Yvonne Woods.
Yeah. Yeah. She's saying, I need 2 things. A name of a suspect and a date you need the DNA test. And that's it. Everything else I'll make match.
Yeah. I don't even need a real sample. Just kidding.
Yeah. Just give me, you know, animal spit. But dude, so this idea, like why I think this is important and why I'm bringing it up in our true crime talk show where we continue the investigation into the Idaho4 case and the Bryan Kohberger case is if a leading star of a state science team that does the DNA testing for all their high profile cases is manipulating, altering, changing, making fit the needs of the investigators and or prosecutors, how do we not at least ask the questions in the Idaho4 case of why and how? You know, every DNA video we put out, multiple people leave comments saying, yeah, but Bryan Kohberger's guilty. It's either this or that. It's either his DNA or it's not.
Okay, and what if it's not?
Yeah. But I think you're missing the point that people don't realize that that is not how DNA works.
It isn't how it works.
It's not put it in and the computer says it's a match or it's not. No, it's a percentage of likelihood every time.
And a human is deciding if it matches or not, not a computer.
Yeah, a human is off a select random number of defining factors that they use. It's like,
yeah, and the human, again, is being subjective. They are not being objective, and they are not doing blind testing. They have the investigators in their ear the whole time.
Yeah. They're told who they need it to match with. And that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yep.
And I did put in the comment section under that video, you guys, links to our DNA videos as well.
Every single one of them that I can remember right now are really important for what we're talking about right now.
They are.
You know, we've been learning as we go with DNA because in the beginning, like we
had no idea.
We thought Bryan was guilty because of that DNA.
Yep.
We truly did until we started learning more. And like I said, that TED Talk blew my mind.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. It really opened my mind up to the fact that DNA isn't black and white. No DNA is black and white.
Yep.
It's all percentage. It's all
and the blob. The appearance of the blob.
You know, the thing is that it doesn't have to be this way. It's not like it has to be this way. I don't know I don't know if there are even any jurisdictions that are doing blind testing. Like I haven't heard of any. It's not really talked about is a major problem that I see is I don't see it being talked about at these conferences where they go over all the new forensic, technology and DNA conventions where they're talking about, or it's mostly about like identifying people and stuff, but so it's anything that identifies people, those conventions. But
and we absolutely thought he was guilty. I just saw a couple people asking like we did. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like there was no doubt in my mind Bryan Kohberger was guilty until we started looking into it more.
The PCA is a good PCA to make you think that this person is guilty, which is what a PCA is there for. So I'm not like saying there's something manipulative in there. What the problem is, the real problem is in that PCA is that when you start looking into the actual evidence presented in the PCA, that's where you find the holes. You know, at face value, it looks nice, right? It's a nice brand new looking car on the outside, but as soon as you open that door, there's stains and rips and spills all over. It's a problem. It is a massive problem. It is a massive problem with the cell phone tower evidence. It is a massive problem. And that's what first you guys know my background in network, right? Well, they're focusing on cell phone network technology in this case. I looked into that and was like, whoa, not possible. This is not real. No way can this happen. And it was off from there. We just started digging into each piece one at a time, then realized, whoa, look at how this crime scene was managed. There's problems here. Come to find out it was a mess.
Yeah,
A mess.
for real. Yeah, and it's really just the investigation. Like, you know, a lot of other content creators you're going to find on the internet believe one way or the other. A lot of them do.
Yeah,
Now,
they
there
do.
are some that are in the middle, like us, but a lot of them are either lean innocence or lean guilt, and all their opinions, all the information they present is colored by that belief.
Yeah.
We don't want to be that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not that. We just can't think like that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to follow the objective evidence.
Well, I think that's been the point the whole time, is looking at the investigation, looking at the evidence.
Yeah. And luckily the people that support us, you guys, you know, there is no buy-in to thinking and presenting a certain kind of media. But you know, it's interesting stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So hang on. I totally forgot this. And oh my gosh, I am so glad I remembered this. I have been meaning to give these shout outs for like a whole week. Okay.
Yep.
Murder Metal Mayhem is a content creator that also does true crime and Idaho4 stuff. And they reference our videos quite a bit, and we have a good working relationship with them, and I just wanted to give them a shout out. Hang on here, because they've talked about multiple of our videos. So shout out to Murder Metal Mayhem. I'm gonna copy and paste the link in the chat. All right, there we go. So shout out to you. We love your stuff, and just keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for shouting us out.
Yes.
And then
we highly appreciate you.
And the other one here is right. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is Swamp Rose. Swamp Rose also did a breakdown of one of our videos, and love your stuff and appreciate you shouting us out, and just keep doing what you're doing also. And if you guys want to check either of them out, the links are in there. And thank you guys again. That is awesome. We appreciate you a ton. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, what was I pulling up? Oh, I got it. I just needed to put my brain in my hand. Hang on here. Right? Yeah. Bam. So many new documents.
So many.
Memorandum in support of objection to the state's motion. Motion to rescind order for failure to provide due process and notice of hearing. Some of these are long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so memorandum in support of objection to the state's motion for order prohibiting contact with prospective jurors absent leave of court. Comes now Bryan C. Kohberger. Oh.
You're also, yeah, there you go.
Comes now Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney of record, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, and hereby submits this memorandum in support of objection to the state's motion for order prohibiting contact with prospective jurors absent leave of court. The state has alleged that the defense has violated this court's revised orders. Specifically, the state alleges the defense has violated the prohibition on discussing the identity or nature of evidence expected to be presented at trial or any sentencing phase of the proceedings. The order also prohibits the disclosure of any information a lawyer knows or reasonably should know is likely to be inadmissible evidence in trial, and that would, if disclosed, create a substantial risk of prejudicing an impartial trial. The defense is aware of these prohibitions. After all, the defense wrote the original order upon which it is based. The state, however, misunderstands the prohibition in this respect. The defense is not disclosing information. The defense is asking prospective jurors in the county of Latah as to what information they are aware of that was previously disclosed via the press. Further, the revised order for non-dissemination allows for counsel to ask questions of the public to do its work. That is exactly what happened. So what they're talking about here is they are reaching out to possible jurors, right? So people in the area trying to determine a case for a change of venue, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah. This is about, yeah.
So, yeah. And it is totally normal to do, especially when we saw them talk about it in court. Like,
yeah.
The plan. Do you guys remember the prosecution saying, well, why are you even bringing this up if you don't have any evidence of it? Normally, you ask questions first and then you bring it up. It sounds like they're trying to do that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
Interesting. Mr. Kohberger, in his preparation for his change of venue hearing, is mindful of what the court must consider an available means to obtain information for his evidentiary hearing, Idaho Criminal Rule 21, ICR 21, and relevant case law guide the factors a court must consider in a motion to change venue. Exactly. The state's motion and the court's order intrudes on one of the ways the defense will seek and establish prejudice pursuant to ICR 21. And then the state versus Hayden outlines relevant factors a court must consider when taking up a change of venue motion prior to attempting to seat a jury. Extensive publicity, accuracy of publicity, and the size of the community from which a jury will be drawn. The Haddon Court, in referencing the size of the county as being small, said, however, this fact alone does not require a presumption of prejudice, nor would such a rule be practicable given the relatively rural nature of many of the Idaho's counties. The Hayden Court also said that a party challenging venue must bring more than the size of the community. Certainly, pervasive media coverage that continues to this day is a factor and will be discussed in a later filing. The focus here is on critical survey work, obtaining information to support the change of venue motion by establishing the more in addition to size of community. This important work will establish the reasonable probability of prejudice. To provide that more, the defense hired Brian Eldman, owner of Trial Innovations. Dr. Edelman is an experienced doctor of social psychology with additional educational achievement and experiences in statistical surveys. Good. That's what I like to see. Some science there around statistical surveys.
Mm-hmm.
It likely will help to understand how surveys are done in cases such as this. The survey will the survey to be valid must be done by a random selection of contacts. The number of surveys are small, but enough to see trends that are attributed to a larger population. Yeah. See Declaration of Dr. Edelman attached as Exhibit A. The questions in the survey seek limited but important information. To qualify the surveyor, first ask if the person reached is an adult, Latah County resident. Then the survey continues with opinion, exposure, and connection to the cases. Dr. Edelman, after extensive research of the media coverage in the case and with approval of counsel, designed the media influence questions around statements that have been in the media. Interesting. As counsel for the state wrote in their motion, many of the media influence questions are not factually correct. That is exactly the point. That is what the Hayden court said in relation to extensive media coverage. Non-factual media dissemination is more harmful. It would be of little use to this court to know that there was a deluge of unobjectionable media coverage. The only way for this court to have a way of understanding what the parties would face with a juror from Latah County is to know why they are being exposed to, as Dr. Edelman can testify. That is the sort of work parties do in these cases. It may be new to some in Latah County, but it is still the industry standard, professional, and ethical way to do this work. There is no realistic possibility that this will affect the jury selection in Latah County. The problems with this county are not of the defense's making. They are what the defense wishes to expose for this court. That's interesting. The state's motion is filed against the backdrop of Mr. Kohberger preparing for his motion to change venue. The state objected to the court scheduling a change of venue hearing, and now through this motion is thwarting the defense preparation for this motion. The state knows counsel for Mr. Kohberger did not violate the revised non-dissemination order. The state and counsel met the day before the state filed its motion and discussed the content of the survey and received the curriculum vitae for the expert hired by the defense. The state was informed that these types of surveys are not an anomaly. However, the state filed its motion anyway. The state's motion should be denied, and the order prohibiting future contact with prospective jurors should be withdrawn. So basically what's going on here is it sounds like the prosecution is playing games. Okay. I don't even want to go into the details and or questions of this survey yet. I want to cover the reasoning for this around it. So the state submitted an objection to allow the defense talk to possible jury members in Latah. Essentially what they're saying when they're saying prospective jury members is just basic citizens.
Yeah. So on March 22nd, 2024, the state filed a motion prohibiting further contact with prospective jurors absent leave of court.
Right.
And it sounds like the defense has been trying to,
Well, no. So, yes, but before the defense went out there and talked to anybody, which prompted the prosecution to submit this document to say, oh, stop, you guys, defense, you can't do this. The defense literally went to the state and said, hey, state, this is our questions. We want to give you the rundown of all the questions that we're going to be asking these people. The state said, all right, you're good to go. We got you. But then when they went out there to start submitting these surveys, the prosecution submitted this. It's so, oh my gosh, who's delaying the case? Who's delaying the case? Come on, this is a delay.
Well, see, here's the thing is if they can prove there's bias, then they don't have to wait and try to see a jury and then fail at that and then have to change venue.
Yeah, I'm not even getting into like the reasoning behind it, but just around this survey, and then we'll get into the survey, because you're right. But who's delaying the case in this? This is a delay submitted by the prosecution when the defense brought proof saying the prosecution signed off. The state signed off on us doing this. Look, judge, but then they submit
It's
this
weird.
anyways.
Why did they do that?
Because it's a delay tactic.
It's a game.
It's a game. It's a game. I mean, we shouldn't say it's a game. It's not a game. It is a standard tactic within the US court system that whatever your opponent is doing, right? And that's probably how they look at each other. You want to do the opposite. You want to make things hard for them, not easier. In this case, though, because the investigation is so weak, it is one of the weakest investigations I've seen in such a huge covered case.
So you know what's
this
interesting?
Is doing the opposite of what the state is claiming they're doing to support the victims.
You know what's interesting?
What?
Is it says that the state, okay, so that the defense is not disclosing information. They're asking, like, what information has been previously disclosed via the press, right? Yeah. Like, they're asking jurors, like, what do you know about the case from the press?
Right. And they're intentionally asking untrue questions.
Right.
Yeah.
But do you know what's interesting?
What?
Is that I recently, before we read this, and I don't know what date these two things came out, but I saw a character analysis posting these conversations, like this post of supposedly somebody who's a local. But obviously they don't show their name or their face. So is it credible? Not in my mind, you know, because I don't know who the heck this person is. There's no verifying it. So you have no idea who it is. It's just a person, like, not saying their name, not saying who they are, nothing. And just like text on a screenshot.
Yeah.
Like I could write that and then pass it off as a local. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were saying that the cops essentially were spreading. Now, there was a lot in these messages, in this message. But one of the things is that the cops intentionally spread around misinformation to see who said what.
Oh, interesting.
So is that going to get found out with the defense going around asking questions?
Got it. Got it. And I hope so, because shady, right? So what we expect, how our linearly judicial system should work, should be crime, police, investigators, investigation, conclusion, prosecutors, court, conviction, or found innocent, right? So why are the police and investigators way down here trying to work on information that is ultimately impacting the court? Their job is done. Done. Yeah. They shouldn't be involved in that. Right? You gather evidence, and evidence is objective. There is no reason to manipulate or give false information. Who cares who knows?
Yeah.
A case,
I mean,
a trial, the judicial system, the court system is publicly owned. The public owns it. And it is built in a way that it's meant to be transparent for the people, not the suspect, not the state, not the judge, for the people that are not involved in the case.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can see why maybe they would spread misinformation around the town intentionally to see who is saying what and when.
I can't.
But you don't see a good reason for that?
None. No.
Cops have
absolutely
lied
not.
In their investigations to the public.
They're allowed to say whatever they want. Though, yeah, those people. They are. So no, there is not a legal reason to do that.
Oh, you're right. Because people can make up anything.
If they find, even if they did, if that person came out and talked and said something, why do the cops need to know that? That is none of their business. We are not in 1984. We're allowed to say whatever the heck we want. All the people of Moscow can say whatever the heck they want. That is not managed by cops. That's insane. That is insane. Insane
I guess
and
you have a point.
terrifying. So what? Like, okay, let's follow this line of thinking down. They spread out a whole bunch of false information, okay? And one of those people reaches out silently to a content creator and gives this false information. That's now out in YouTube. The cops are like, oh, hey, let's look at our data book. This piece of information we gave to this neighbor. So let's go raid that neighbor because they're now a drug dealer. Like, what's the point? What are you going to do? Why do you need to know who's saying what? Why? Do you see where I'm going with that? Like, help me find what am I missing? What's a positive outcome here? What could be an objective and good faith reason to do that? I can't think of one.
I don't know. I mean, they explained a reason in that, like only the killer would have the real information or something like that. But I mean, you know how much the cops say that misinformation like hurts their cases, the public going around saying, you know, speculating, causing misinformation. Like what? And they're going to go start it themselves after talking so much crap on everyone for it?
Yeah, that's like the social problem. I think that's a micro problem to that area, because to me, do you realize that tactic right there that you just said is exactly what the mob used to do?
Spread misinformation?
Yep. Give different information. So when they had a leak, they would give different information. Like, let's say there was somebody that they knew they had a rat. They knew they had a mole, right? So they tell one of their contacts that the drug deal is going down over here because they keep getting hit, right? And then they tell this person the drug deal is going on over here. Then they tell this person the drug deal is going on over there and this person over there. So the one that gets busted confirms who the rat is.
Exactly. So why would the cops be doing that to the public?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
Or were they specifically doing it to fraternities and sororities?
Again, I have no idea. Where's the benefit of that? Where's the benefit of that? Because based on the timeline and how this is being submitted, I'm assuming that this is being done post-arrest.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Right?
Wait a minute.
Is this post-arrest?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait. Wait. No, not these messages came out post-arrest. Now, are they saying this all happened post-arrest? No, they're saying this happened pre-arrest.
Okay, that's completely different then.
So,
completely different.
What if it has to do with the 4chan posts and it's literally trying to find the leak? The 4chan posts, you guys have to admit, these 4chan posts contained information that was not possible to be known. It was not possible to be known. The timing, all of the things in the 4chan posts, even if you think it's all BS and that, you know, the two guys that are mentioned in that had nothing to do with this crime.
Yeah.
You know,
there were still details in there that the PCA wasn't out. Yeah.
That weren't out yet because the PCA wasn't out. So somebody knew something.
Yeah.
What if that was done to try to find who's talking, who's leaking this information?
I want to be clear though, everyone. So, because I just gave a big 15-minute rant talking trash on the police in that area for doing this. Now that I know that this was pre-arrest, that is a completely different story. Now I understand it. I don't think that it's being done in a fraudulent way, like I was saying. That is completely different. If you're searching for a suspect, then you're putting out intentionally misinformation to have the real suspect correct it, so you have a direction to go. That's different.
Yeah.
I think that is fine. That is not what I thought you were saying was going on. I thought what you were saying was going on is that the cops post-arrest were putting out information to the general public in that area to find out who's talking.
No, it was pre-arrest. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what that says.
Much different. Post-arrest, there is absolutely no reason. Pre-arrest and pre-suspect, I get it.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
But this is interesting here. This is really interesting. And it's interesting for the reasons that aren't written in here.
Right. It's a problem.
Yeah,
what it is.
It's a major problem to have the state say, hey, green light, you guys are good to go. And then say, oops, just kidding. Stop now. That's more delaying, more tactics.
And there's going to be a hearing on all of this, of course. All we've seen from the state is tactics this whole time.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. So what are the other two? Can we give a rundown of what they are?
I haven't read them.
So, okay.
Is it long? I can read
pages. Okay.
Motion to wait. Are you
rescind order for failure to provide due process?
Yeah.
Oh, you're waiting for me to put it up? Hang on.
Yeah. All right. Motion to rescind order for failure to provide due process comes now Bryan C. Kohberger by and through his counsel of record and hereby moves this court to rescind the order issued on March 22nd, 2024 without providing due process. On March 22nd, 2024, late on a Friday afternoon, the state filed its motion to prevent contact with potential jurors. The motion included attachments. The late Friday afternoon filing was a strategic action by the state. The state was well aware of the survey taking place long before its late filing on March 22nd, 2024. Reading the state's filing, it is clear the state was aware of the survey process by March 8th, 2024. The state reached out to the defense counsel on March 19th, 2024, and scheduled a meeting for March 21st, 2024. By the time the parties met on March 21st, 2024, the state had at least one transcript of the survey and knew the questions that were asked. At no time during the 13 days between March 8th and March 21st did the state determine an emergency existed that must be brought to the court's attention. On March 21st, 2024, counsel for the state and defense met. The defense provided a curriculum, vitae?
Mm-hmm.
For its expert and discussed the survey and its content. The defense informed the state surveys such as these were common practice. The state could have easily and likely did find that this very expert did similar survey work in Idaho on at least two other occasions. Surveys Surveys such as these meet the standard of care required of the defense in a capital case, yet the state told the defense it wanted to tell the judge about this. The defense agreed to attend an on-the-record in-chambers meeting to discuss the defense work being done. The state chose not to wait. Counsel asked the state to refrain from giving the attachments to the court prior to a meeting where the defense could be heard because the court may take an action thus prohibiting Mr. Kohberger an opportunity to be heard. Unfortunately, though, its letter writing to the court, the state has achieved previous action from the court without Mr. Kohberger receiving due process. The state knew what it was doing when it filed a late afternoon motion with attachments. Mr. Kohberger quickly filed an objection and stated further information would be coming. The court issued an order halting defense work without giving Mr. Kohberger any opportunity to be heard. This is a violation of Mr. Kohberger's constitutional rights pursuant to the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 13 of the Idaho State Constitution. The right to procedural due process requires that when a constitutionally protected interest is at stake, a person involved in the judicial process be given meaningful notice and meaningful opportunity to be heard, and that judicial proceedings be fundamentally fair. State v. Blair, 149 Idaho, a bunch of codes. State v. Slaninka. Wow. Okay. Interesting name. The opportunity to be heard must occur at a meaningful time and in a meaningful manner in order to satisfy the due process requirement, a bunch of cases and codes. At a bare minimum, there must be some process to ensure that the individual is not arbitrarily deprived of his rights in violation of the state or federal constitutions. This requirement is met when the defendant is provided with notice and an opportunity to be heard. More cases cited. For the court to take action without ensuring Mr. Kohberger has an opportunity to be heard stops the defense from preparing to meet its deadline for filings in support of its motion for change of venue. The order damages Mr. Kohberger in carrying out his work to ensure a properly prepared defense and ensuring a fair trial by an impartial jury. The order also prejudices the state because the survey work is complete for Latah County, but is not complete for other counties for comparison. No court order should be entered without procedural due process or unless the parties stipulate. Dated the 26th of March, 2024, signed Ann Taylor.
Wild. So again, just stomping over the rights of...
Dude, she straight up called him out. This is the most aggressive call out we've seen in a while.
Well, look, you can fill Bryan Kohberger's spot behind that defense table with anybody, and these types of behaviors, decisions, and actions are not okay. So if I'm a defensive, if I'm just an attorney and I see this going on, like, your whole job is focused around either the rights or working for the state and its citizens, right? So you should see something like this and be like, hey, what the red flag, what is going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, good, this stuff needs to be called out. It needs to be shined a light on and said, hey, this isn't okay. We are stomping all over the citizen's rights. He's a citizen of the US, a citizen
who's innocent until proven guilty. Meaning he has full rights.
You need to treat any potential suspect as if they are innocent.
Any defendant.
You believe they're innocent.
Any defendant. Yeah. Yes. They are to be treated as innocent.
I agree with you. So just allowing himself to represent. I have another question. Why did Bill Thompson want to so quickly put this in front of the judge? Why?
I don't know. What do you, I mean,
it's weird. I don't know either.
I don't know.
I don't understand. I don't get it. What's the point in putting it in front of the judge? What was going on? What is in that survey that they felt like they needed judge assistance to look into this?
I don't know. I think that something's going on here.
Something's strange, dude. Something is strange.
Something is strange.
And I don't know either.
Well, that's why because this is strange. That's why I brought up the supposedly misinformation spread around the public. Like, are they running into something that's like a part
or has the prosecution already done their own surveys and realized there's a problem, and then realized the tactics the defense is taking are going to prove there's a problem?
Yeah, maybe.
And they're like, oh shoot, wait, hold on. Maybe. We need to know who they're going to ask before they ask, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, man. They need to get this case out of Latah.
I'm sorry, but I'm never going to be able to let go of the fact that Bill Thompson said that they owe it to the citizens of Latah County to have this trial there. That they are owed it. I can't let that go. That was so unprofessional. That was just again bewildering. My favorite word tonight. I don't know why I keep saying that. It blew my mind. I couldn't believe he said that. That is fishy.
Bewildering.
Why are you looking up that right now?
To remind myself.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know either. I don't understand.
And they also say these kinds of surveys are common practice. Like, this isn't something totally out of the norm. Like, this is very normal.
All surveys are common practice. I don't. Yeah.
It's just really weird. Like, why take something that's such normal, like why take something that is common practice, that's such a not a big deal, and make it such a big deal?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
So you should pull up the hearing, the order for hearing.
Oh, okay.
Let's see the date and everything.
Sure. So I can probably close this one, not this. Notice of hearing.
Oh, this is like.
All right.
Dude.
In the District Court of the Second Judicial District of Latah, State of Idaho, in and for the County of Latah, State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger. Notice of hearing. Notice is hereby given that Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, will call on for hearing the defendant's fourth motion to compel in the above entitled manner on 5/14/24 at 1:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as counsel may be heard in front of the Honorable Judge John Judge. Counsel for the defendant hereby gives notice of his intent to present oral argument and or testimony in support of said motion, dated 26th day of March 2024. Bam.
Not till May. That's a little ways away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what about what about the
What?
the issue with the surveys?
What do you mean?
They're not going to have a hearing on that? They're going to address that in a couple months at the same hearing?
I don't know yet. I'm not sure.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah. I hear you. I don't know. Not sure. I don't understand. I do not understand.
Really weird.
Yep. But it's interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Interesting. And make sure you guys hit that like button. Leave a comment under the video when we're done here. I forgot. I posted this earlier, you guys, but I did post the Discord link. And if you guys don't know what Discord is basically a chat room where everybody that is a thought rioter hangs out in, and we continue the investigation and conversation. There's two rules. The two rules are respect everybody. We can have different opinions. It is not an echo chamber. We want every types of opinion in there. And we respect people's opinion. We do not need them to, believe what we believe. We want the opposing ideas and opinions to grow our knowledge. Number 2, no politics of any kind, of the right, of the left, of the center, or anything else. No politics. It is true crime focused or personal focused, whatever. But Discord is a completely safe platform.
Yeah, we just
the only information that is not safe is personal information that somebody would share themselves. So But you can post pictures on there and it takes off and strips any of the metadata, things like that. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything, you guys.
Yeah,
So
actually, it makes like when things have been posted on Discord, okay, that are dangerous for the country, it's actually made it really hard for the government to track who posted it
I know.
because it was in Discord.
Yep, I know.
Telegram's the same way, but
Yep.
yeah, we just don't want any polarizing topics that, you know, categorize people, isolate people, divide people. You know, this is a place where we come together.
Yeah,
Not tear
no
each other
Trump,
apart.
no Biden, no nothing
No.
of anything having to do with anything. And if you post about it, we got to remove it. I mean, that's just the only way to do it.
I wanted to say I forgot about the April 17th hearing. So there is an April
Mhm.
17th hearing coming up.
Okay.
So maybe they'll address this issue with the surveys on April 17th because that's the alibi hearing.
Mhm.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I totally forgot about that when we read about the May hearing just now.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like there's some people that might have like disagreements in the chat. Hey, you just ignore them. You right click their name and you block what they're saying. You guys. If anything breaks any of our rules, then we just kick people from there, right? So we got to respect each other. And ThoughtRiot does a good job with that.
Yeah.
Does a very good job with
And
that.
we like disagreeing.
Yeah. We want people to have differing opinions. How else do you grow your opinion? How else do you hold yourself accountable, you know? It's interesting for sure. So we allow everybody in our chat except for disrespect. All right, let me see here. Hang on one second. I need to make sure we got that. And for anybody that is new here, welcome. We're super happy to have you here. One thing to know is at the end of our show, of the True Crime Talk Show, we do have a members video where we usually go for at least is there a members where we usually go for at least like another 30 minutes or so talking directly with our thought rioters, and it's always a really good time, and that's one benefit of being a member. So if you'd like to come hang out, I will post the link here and you can come hang out, and then we will post the members link. Hang on one second. Oh, there we go. I don't know what I was doing, you guys. Here we go. All right, that is the link there, and good to go.
Yes.
But yeah, if anybody is bothering you or you think somebody's a troll, you guys, just block them. We have YouTube working with us right now to control and manage some stuff we got going on that's outside of what the normal would be. So we are on top of it, and we make sure that things are taken care of here. And yeah,
Is everything set up to switch over?
I believe so. Hang on one sec. I think I posted everything. I'm just going to post the Discord one more. Here, and then just remember on all of our social media, you guys, every single one of them, we are / Thought Riot Podcast, except for Twitter. On Twitter, we are / Thought Riot Pod.
Gosh,
And
the Jody Hildebrandt stuff and Ruby Frankie stuff is just horrible.
all right, you guys, we are going to be switching over to the
members only, so we can have a little chat.
yes, indeed.
So if you are a member, go ahead and switch on over. We're about to go live over there and we'll talk, guys.
Yeah, and everyone else, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, leave a comment under the video, and we will be back tomorrow.
So see you then. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for hanging out with us. See ya.
Later.